11, and I've got a great guest with me here today. It's somebody who I've seen around and about for quite a few years, and his kind of trajectory is quite interesting. So, my guest today is Laurie Wright. How you doing, Laurie?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Spence. How you doing?
I'm great. Yeah, really good to see you. And yeah, I first came across you in I don't know how long it was ago. It was a few years ago now. I saw you busking. I was also busking at the same time, and as you know, buskers we're always checking each other out, right? So
Yeah,
I saw you around on the scene doing like some really cool Oasis stuff and rock and roll kind of stuff. Um, and yeah, and obviously I started following on Facebook, and then I noticed that you were putting on your own shows, and you were sort of starting doing more of your own original stuff. And yeah, just we've got so much to talk about because what you're doing is what I do and what I kind of preach about is, busking is for me anyway, the best way to get started.
yeah,
It just
for
creates so
sure.
many things. So we can dive into all of this, but I just want to know how you got started in music, Laurie, because you're not an old man, you're a young man,
No,
but probably
I'm
had a lot
getting
of
there though.
experience, life experience.
I'm a bit ill, so I look a bit old today, but we'll get there. Well, where did I begin in music? Busking, actually. Near enough. I mean, I'd actually been playing piano for a while before then because there was one that had come down through the families, to the family, sorry, through the generations in the corner of the house. And when I was really young, I just started messing around on it. And my mum sort of noticed something and she was like, oh, seems a bit musical. So she was like, do you want to do piano lessons? So from 7 to 14, I begrudgingly did piano lessons because I loved the idea of playing the piano, but I didn't like I couldn't do reading music. I could not read, um, couldn't do it, but I really enjoyed the thing. Do you know what I mean? So it was weird because I really enjoyed doing certain things, but I would not practice. I found a real disconnect between the 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 academia side of it, and it just didn't interest me at all, that stuff. But I'm really thankful that my mum kind of, because she used to say, "You'll thank me one day." Sorry, I'm a bit ill. She's going, "You'll thank me one day." So 7 years of doing that, and then I got my brother for my 14th birthday got me both Libertines albums because they'd actually just broken up, so it had already been and gone. But um, Baby Shambles had just started. I remember, but anyway, he bought me two Libertines albums, and I just fell in love with it, and immediately sort of, I was like, "That's it. That's what I actually want to do." Like always knew I wanted to do music, but nothing had turned me on to the point where I actually wanted to pursue it. I had been a big fan of pop punk and new metal in the late 2000s when I was sorry, late 90s and early 2000s when I was really young, and I persuaded my mum and dad to get a drum kit, which I think they regretted pretty quickly. But again, it was sort of like I was good at the drums, but I wasn't going to pursue it to the end. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I like the piano, I like the drums, but I hadn't been encapsulated completely by anything in it. Anyway, so yeah, guitar. Then got a guitar, and as soon as I could, started going busking um, because I realised that would be a good sort of way to make money. It meant that I could practice playing to people, and I got an immediate response straight away. The first time I went busking,
So
it was
had you seen
mental.
anyone else do it at that point? Had you like seen
Yeah,
someone play and go, "Oh, that's what I want to do," or did you just go, "I'm just going to, yeah, I'm just going to go out and play on the street"? Or had you
yeah.
seen
Well,
anyone doing it?
I knew it was something that people did. I saw people all the time doing it and thought,
Yeah.
well, they must be earning some money here. I could actually do this.
And
And
this is in London, right? You first
no, no,
started
no.
doing.
I grew up in Gloucestershire, Cheltenham,
Okay.
and yeah. So when I was 15, I decided that's what I was gonna do based on looking at people doing it.
Right.
But I thought I'll give this a go. I
Yeah.
was quite uncertain about the whole thing, but back then it was like I don't know if you remember the mid 2000s, late 2000s, Arctic Monkeys, the Libertines, all the stuff that came after that. Everyone was doing it. Guitar was definitely king in this country.
Yeah.
And to be quite honest, the female response that I'd never had before from girls my age was actually mental. Like, I'd never had anything at all, no attention from girls, and all of a sudden they're writing their numbers on these little receipts and putting them in, and like congregating and, you know, hanging about for long periods of time, and like, you know, playing with their hair and all that kind of stuff. And I was just, it was so alien to me, anything like that. But that was the first time I went busking, and I went, right, I'm onto something here, and I made a few quid. But at that age, though, that's massive in your psyche.
Yeah.
Of like female attention, because you go up. Particularly, I was very small, and my brother was tall, dark, and handsome. Do you know what I mean? Like he got the female attention, but I didn't. So as soon as I did that and figured out, right, that's how you do it. You've got to become impressive.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's that.
Yeah, and it's amazing, isn't it? I've spoken to lots of buskers, and it's that kind of, I mean, myself included, it's got a kind of light bulb moment. And like you say, for you, it was kind of girls.
Yeah.
I think for me, it was like getting the response of, people actually, you know, giving you money. And the first time I went busking, I was unrehearsed. You know, I didn't know any of my own songs. Even the cover versions I played weren't particularly well rehearsed. You know, they were just, when I was playing my own stuff, you know, which is, you know, as you know, with busking, it's kind of hard to get a sort of response that way generally. But yeah, whatever it is, what happened, whether it's money, whether it's attention, whether it's women giving you the phone numbers, like you say, the light bulb goes on. You go, yes. And then for me, that was like the gateway. It's like a gateway into like music. And so you started busking, and at that point, you saw, like I say, when I saw you, you were doing like you're doing like kind of a lot of Oasis kind of stuff and a lot of rock and roll stuff. So were you doing your own stuff then at that point, or were you just doing the covers? And
no, because I'd started going busking when I'd learned enough Libertine songs to get by. And then I sort of went back from there and went, well, what was before that? Oasis. They were already part of the furniture in this country, like everywhere. But I'd never actually got into their albums. But I loved Oasis, loved the Libertines, learned as many songs as I could by both of them. Then Arctic Monkeys turned up, and that's when I started writing, because I'd kind of gone, how do you write songs? But then the Arctic Monkeys were only a few years older. They were like 17, 18, and all their songs were about things that felt like they were my day-to-day life as well, like drinking in parks or trying to talk to girls or whatever, and taxis and kebabs and things like that. And suddenly that happened, and I went, that's it. I think I can give this a go. So I started writing songs, and then I would busk them, and like very quickly, because of the age and what was popular at the time, I got actually a decent following. I got a band, but a decent local following, nothing special at all, but selling out the local venues and busking, but actually people knew the songs locally, only people my age, you know, all that. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah, and so you kind of progressed from that. And I guess maybe we touch on this now. So at what point were you, because what you're talking about there is that kind of age when, I know for me, I'm a lot older than you, but at that age, I was drinking and, you know, drugging and doing all kinds of things, because that was what you did as a musician. It was kind of the done thing. Not even if you're a musician, but just that kind of culture, wasn't it? It was like sort of, there's a lot of that going on, and it's very easy to fall into it. And certainly for me, it kind of went hand in hand with music and musicians and the musician life. So, and then I sobered up and thought, well, how do I do this now? How do I do music without partaking in any of that? You know, do I Do I have to join a choir? Have I got to be something puritanical, or can I still do rock and roll and still be in that kind of thing? So for me, that was a journey. That was my own journey, which I'm kind of still on in lots of ways. But yeah, that was a big moment to know that actually, yeah, that stuff actually held me back. It actually stopped me from being productive and stopped me from sort of progressing any further. It was a lot of it was in my head, sort of having the dream and the myth without actually sort of putting in the work and actually going out and doing it.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about that? Is that something you
Yeah,
want to
for
talk
sure. Well, drugs and alcohol, I mean, it's all intrinsically linked, isn't it? I mean, it's only a matter of time before that you discover that, particularly in the rock and roll sphere, and especially when your heroes, the guys you were kind of taking a leaf out of their book, you go like read their actual books and go, oh right, so they do all of this today. It's just very interesting. Not that it's like that. It's not like you go, right, I'm trying this, but it must be somewhere in there subconsciously, like. But yeah, I remember I got booked from busking to go and play a small stage at Glastonbury, 2008, and I was 16, and I went down there and just decided, yeah, I'm going to start to take, well, to try, at least see what it's all about. Ecstasy, I was particularly interested in giving a go because I'd seen people rather ecstatic like on the stuff. So I was like, right, let's give this a go. Sorry, I'm proper all over the place this morning. But yeah, so give it a go. What already just took it way too far the first time. And alcohol was already kind of a problem. I already used it in social situations to talk to women or try and be funny or whatever. So yeah, ecstasy was the first port of call, but everyone else just did it normally. Everyone else did one pill, and I did like four, and I just lost everyone. Just ran off, came back, and everyone was like packing up to go home the next day, and I just wanted to continue. But it was always like that from then on. Quite quickly, really, that sort of became the point. Band packed up. I just started doing cocaine because the come downs were easier and it felt more normal. Ecstasy was so like much, and it's doing it all the time is just too much. So I started doing coke and drinking a lot more, smoking a lot of weed. But then I packed in smoking weed when I was 21 because of paranoia. I just started drinking horrendously, like because weed I could just smoke a joint, go to bed, watch something funny, happy days. But as soon as that was taken out of the equation, it was just drink, doing loads of coke, eventually smoking crack, and then it really goes pretty haywire for quite a few years. And then it was really tricky because all the while the music's going on in all the midst of this, but the music has been second fiddle now for over 10 years. And I didn't even realise it, really. You think, no, I'm a musician, I just like taking drugs. But no, you're a drug addict who likes playing music. Do you know what I mean? Like, it always comes first. I need a drink before I get on stage. I need a line to perk me up. Like, a pipe if we're in that frame of mind. We're constant cigarettes, just everything. Just yeah, it was just music was always second fiddle for well over 10 years until I realised age 28 that it had to stop. And I was fortunate enough, my parents, I kept being made homeless all the time, having to live on people's sofas. I thought it was, at first I thought it was all right. It was quite cool, if anything, just bowling around like as I thought, a bit of an acoustic troubadour, just sofa to sofa, blah, blah, blah. But really, again, it's just drug addiction with a side of music. And it's not enjoyable. And you become a burden on people and you mess up and you have to move on. And eventually I'd given up and sort of went back to my folks as I did from time to time, and I'm really lucky to have them still. But I was always really lucky to have them. And I remember my mum just said, "We've just sold your grand's house. There's a bit of money. Do you want to go to rehab?" At which point I just completely broke down. Of course, I wanted to go. There was no sort of like pretending anymore. I tried to go sober on my own, and it hadn't worked. And so yeah, I just went to rehab, and that was December 2019. And I've been clean and sober ever since. And the music, I didn't know that my recovery and music were going to go hand in hand. I suppose it kind of goes without saying now, looking back, but because I've always written quite autobiographically. But all I knew was that I was going to do music properly now, and I really have done. But what I didn't bargain for, which is better than what I'd bargained for, was that the music and the recovery would go hand in hand, and I'd start having conversations like this that could in turn help, maybe help others. But and the song subjects and all the rest of it about trying to get clean and staying clean, and people do message me about that and say that, you know, various things about how I've helped them, and they ask for advice and stuff like that, which is, you know, I'd never bargained for that side of things, which I'm really, you know, I'm really happy that I'm in a position to do that now, as opposed to it being like how it was before. But yeah, I'm really chuffed.
Yeah. I'm just I'm just hearing the sound. I don't know if it's my sound or your sound. It's getting very crackly, and I'm starting to lose you a bit. I don't know if it's.
Oh yeah, there's a crackle at this end up from your voice. Is mine coming through crackly as well? Better? I'm having connection issues. I can't even hear you now. I literally can't hear you.